Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dating in the Wild. With me today, I have a special guest, my friend Claire, who I met in Improv 101 way back at Cold Town Theater in Austin. Man, that was years ago.
Whew. Was that four,
Prob-
three,
At least three.
6, 7, 8? I
Keep
don't
going. I
remember.
don't know. Yes. So wonderful for you to come on my show and share with us your dating story, which has a happy ending.
Mhm.
And so, of course, I always want to remind our audience to put yourselves out there and see what happens, see what kind of positive stories and people you might meet in your life. So, Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm a writer here in Austin. I'm sort of a nonfiction writer by trade, and that's what I do during the day is I write grants for a local land trust. And then by night or whenever I get the chance, I'm a novelist and I teach writing. Um, and most recently, I have a new podcast, The Fool and the Page, which I was privileged to have Gloria as a guest.
Yeah.
And that's all about tarot and writing. So lately, I'm really into the intersection between tarot and writing. And I am a native Texan, as they say. I grew up in Texas. I lived in New York for 10 years, and then my husband, who I'm going to chat about, we did like a couple years of sort of nomadic wandering
Ooh,
and then came back to Texas because this is where all of our family is.
yeah.
So here we are back in
Great,
Texas.
great. But yes, check out Claire's new blog, podcast. I think
I
it's all
mean,
C.
I kind of like calling it a flog. No, but vlog feels like, I don't know, like another level.
It can be, yes. It can be. Vlogs are for sure. But yes, a wonderful podcast that you've started. So check that out. The Fool and the Page, if you're
Thank
into
you.
tarot and that kind of fun stuff. I dig it. Yeah. So then, yes, you're going to share us the story about how you met your husband. So tell us a little bit about him, who he is, like how did you guys meet?
So my husband's name is Steven. We met in college. We really started dating after doing, what do you know, college improv together.
Ooh.
Tale as old as time. But before that, we were friends. So we were both anthropology majors. We took actually our first class together in college, but we weren't really on each other's radar.
Okay.
I I spent like a few college years thinking that my ideal sort of my ideal like masculine archetype was a very like one-dimensional fraternity dude with no personality, and
Really?
not I
That's
wasn't cool
interesting.
enough to date any of them. Certainly not. Was not cool enough to date any of them, but that's kind of like what I had in mind, when in reality what I should have been pursuing and what I eventually happily ended up like partnering with for life is a real like nerdy comedian, intellectual,
Mhm.
creative dude, which is my husband. So we didn't we didn't really befriend each other initially, even in the anthropology sort of world, which was a small one. There was just a small crew of us
Mhm.
anthropology kids, until my husband was doing a TV show on campus for
Oh,
the on campus chat channel, and
yeah.
I they invited me to be a part of it, and I think I played like a crazed housewife. I remember we all went like vintage shopping in
Right.
Austin. This is in Georgetown. We went to Southwestern University,
Okay.
and so if you were in Georgetown, you went to Austin to like the cool town
Right.
occasionally. And
Right.
I remember going vintage shopping for this like weird like boxy dress. So I think there was like maybe a bit of flirtation there, but nothing serious. And
Mhm.
then it wasn't really until senior year when we were doing improv together, got a little bit closer as friends. And then, what do you know, one drunken New Year's Eve sort of like confessed our feelings for each other, as I think
Ooh.
happens not just in college, but
In real life, yes, out.
in real life throughout our lives.
Yes.
And so we really didn't start dating until the final semester of our college years. We moved to New York. We had been planning on moving to New York with these separate groups of friends, scheming and dreaming for the whole year,
Mm.
moving to the big city. And we did that with our individual groups of friends, and just sort of like took that relationship with us. And it was
Yeah.
really lovely, because I feel like my all my I love New York. All my memories of like sort of coming of age in New York
Yeah.
are also kind of tied in with Steven, and like exploring the
You
city with
guys were
him.
just dating at that point.
We were just dating. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. We were just dating, and we lived so close to each other, which was just happenstance, in this neighborhood in the Upper East Side, like way east Upper East Side. Kept dating. It just never ended. We were best buds, and I feel like
And the decision to go to New York was kind of independent, right? And you guys just discovered that you both had this goal.
it was independent. I would be lying if I said that it wasn't affirmed by the fact that he was going as well, right? Like
Mhm.
I'd be dishonest if I didn't say that factored in somehow to
Yeah.
this decision to leave home
Mhm.
and go to New York. I had a good childhood friend who I'd been sort of communicating with. She was in a different state, and we had planned to room together for a long time and sort of like take on that adventure together.
Mhm.
Um, and so it just was very, very convenient. And and I think probably good that we didn't move in together,
Oh, right.
right? Fresh out of college,
To go to a new city.
ugh, which I know
Well,
is, I mean, you and I talked about this. It's so expensive to live in these big cities,
yeah.
which is why a lot of people do this right off the bat. It's like, great, I'm dating you. Let's live together, because like we definitely can't afford this on our own. And we were just like really lucky that we had these. So we got to keep dating, keep
Mhm.
developing the relationship, get to know each other better, um, without perhaps those added pressures of
Yeah.
living together.
Do you remember y'all's first date? Like, who did he ask you?
I do. I do. I don't remember who asked who.
Mhm. But
I
I
don't.
guess
I
that
feel
you guys
like,
had been friends and hanging out, so it was just a matter of like, "Hey, let's
yeah,
go do."
I yeah, I bet he proposed it, because he definitely proposed the restaurant. We went to Mother's here in Austin. Did you ever go to Mother's? The
Yes, the vegetarian
it's
place.
Yeah, it's just like such a, I don't know. I think it's like an iconic like vegetarian restaurant in
Mhm.
Austin in Hyde Park. We went there,
It's
and then
casual and
yeah,
comforting.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very casual, very comforting. And then we went to Flight Path Cafe just around the corner to
Mhm.
just have like coffee and talk.
Mhm.
And that that was a big deal, that first date, because we just talked and talked and talked. And I
Mhm.
know for anyone who knows what it's like to first like click in a relationship, and what that feels like, to really be able to open up to each other is obviously like crucial to that, to
Yeah,
any kind of like long-term friendship, romantic, whatever. It doesn't
sure,
matter.
sure.
The sex thing doesn't have to come into it at all. If you're going to hang out with somebody for a lengthy period of time, and have a relationship with them, you have to be able to open up to each other. And I had actually just had this like traumatic health crisis, which
Mm.
a lot of women do in college. Like this
Mhm.
is like more normal than we'd like to admit. And I told him the whole story, and I hadn't even talked about it that extensively with my like super waspy family. Like
Mm.
and then here
Yeah,
he was like sitting there listening to it, and I was like, "Oh shit. Okay. That's different."
yeah.
He just listened and was like interested.
Mm.
And that was a big deal. That was a big
Like,
deal to
he
me.
asked some questions, like, he seemed genuinely interested in your situation.
Yeah, that was wild. That was a big deal. Yeah. And I remember distinctly the second date, because we went to see The Hours. I don't know if you remember this movie
With Nicole Kidman.
with
That's
Nicole
where
Kidman.
she won an Oscar for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very depressing. I
Oh,
mean, it's wonderful. It's like a gorgeous movie.
right.
We're talking about like the despair of like Virginia Woolf and
Mhm.
then like a housewife sort of imprisoned in this
Mhm.
like horrible sort of like mid-century misogynist reality.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I should say not too different from how it is for many people today.
Yeah.
And it was just so depressing. And I remember we left that movie and we were just kind of like, oh, okay, second date. Whoa, that's like really
Heavy,
brought the it's heavy,
heavy stuff.
brought the mood down. And we just went back to his apartment where he was living and watched, I think, like two other movies. Just like let's let's like reset. And that was great.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Movies are important to us. We
Oh,
like movies.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have something in common. Mhm. So then how long did you guys date?
Okay, let's see. Sometimes I forget the year we got married. Um, 2007 is when we got married. So we dated, you know, 5-ish years,
Mhm.
5-ish years before. And like I told you, I felt very young to be getting married, even though we'd been dating a long time and we absolutely knew it was right.
Yeah.
None of my friends were getting married at 27.
Oh,
Nobody, they were all like just breaking up with their first like great love and
yeah.
sort of like in the process of either grieving that or
Mhm.
moving on or in like a rebound relationship. And I was getting married and that felt young. It's not young for Texas,
Right.
absolutely.
I
But
think that's why my parallel is like, oh, that's not terribly young because I got married in 2006. Yeah.
oh, how old were you?
Yeah. Yeah. I was 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had been with my ex-husband 5 years at that point. So, pretty I think by Texas standards, somewhat normal.
Yeah, too far past that and you might as well be like
Right. Common law.
a spinster. Oh no. That too.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you wait to get married, ooh, past 25, girl, you're
Spinster
a
life.
you're a spinster. Um, but yeah, it felt like we were sort of early to get married and moved into this like basement apartment in Brooklyn together. And my husband went to grad school, and I went to just like a full time gig at
Mhm.
a nonprofit in New York. And we basically, the first year of our marriage, had schedules where we did not see each other because I was also teaching a night class.
Oh
Like we,
boy.
like we had to make money. You know,
Yeah.
we had to pay the rent. We had to get that sorted. And I remember it. I don't think it was really a bad thing. I'd always lived with people.
Mm.
I'd never lived alone,
Mhm.
and I would have this kind of like these moments of solitude, and I just wrote. I just wrote, and I got like a lot of momentum writing, and
Yeah.
then we would hang out on the weekends. But I remember I had friends who'd say to me like, "Oh, this is so sad.
Oh,
You
right.
must be so sad.
You
You
don't
just
get to see your husband.
married." It's like, oh, there'll be time for that. You know, like it's okay. It's all right. We're
Yeah.
just like both pursuing our dreams.
No, that's great. And some people can do that. Some people can operate independently as you guys were doing, even though you were newly married. Whereas I think some people are a little probably bit more codependent, you know?
Yeah, and this is like, we were chatting about yesterday. It's sort of like, where do you get your energy? How do you need your energy? Like,
Mhm.
how much do you need from other people? And then how much do you need to like refill the well
Yeah.
by yourself in sort of like quiet or solitude? And if you can strike the right balance, then that's fantastic. It's hard to do, but it can happen. It is
Mm.
possible. Yeah. And so we've been married for 13 years.
Wonderful.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yes. But like you said, you guys met, in school and had this friendship at first. And I think that does happen for a lot of people, whether they're meeting someone through work, school, through some kind of common activity or common interest. and then they have a friendship and they maintain that friendship until one night they realize, I'd like to explore something a bit more deeper with you. Like, you're kind of cute.
Yeah, and not to say that it can't absolutely work the other way, that the friendship uh could come after the sort of like, I don't know, physical attraction, say,
Mhm.
or the desire to have like something romantic right off the bat, depending on who you are. For me,
Mhm.
that felt extremely right because I didn't date a lot. I wasn't cool enough to be dating. Like it just didn't, so it felt really right to me to have this like really solid friendship um
Mm.
that then like organically developed into love, true
Yeah,
love.
right. Oh, fantastic. But yeah, you're right. Who's to say it can't work the other way? Like that happens, I'm sure as
Sure.
well. You know,
Yeah.
there's some romantic intentions, and then it's like, oh well, it's probably not going to work. But we seem to work out as friends. Actually, I think that's how my ex-husband and I are.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because we've been divorced 9 years, and we're still friends. We
that's great.
keep in touch every once in a while. He sent me photos of his baby yesterday during
Oh my
Thanksgiving, just to
gosh.
show me like, yeah, this is how you doing, and so yeah, it can happen.
I love that. I feel like that's really, I don't know, that's I find it, perhaps it's surprising. I find it really heartwarming and hopeful when I talk to divorced friends who have these like really like just loving
Mm.
relationships of mutual respect with their exes,
Mhm. Yeah,
especially when there's children involved. But even without, that's like I feel like that's really hopeful and heartwarming.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's like you know that you got together for a reason to begin with, so there's
Mm,
love there. So
yeah,
unless one party did something very heinous, then I could see maybe some ill will. But
of
otherwise,
course.
if it's just like a realization that the partnership is not going to work out long term, then really there's no love lost, and you can,
Yeah,
you know, l- enjoy life and still maintain a friendship. Yeah.
right on.
Yeah,
Y'all, it's possible.
it is. It's possible. Just like you met your significant other out in the wild.
In the true
Mm.
wilds of a
Of-
college campus.
yes.
Truly wild. Yeah, dating in New York after that,
Did you
maintaining
guys
the
try
relationship.
that? I mean, did you
That's
guys try like maybe dating other people once you guys got to New York? Okay.
We did not,
Mm.
and I have to say, total props to my friends, especially those who are like have maintained these relationships from folks that they met and dated in New York. It's real hard. It is really hard
Mhm.
in a big city. I, it's hard anywhere, y'all. Of course, it's hard, but I feel like in New York, I feel like I knew all these women who would date these dudes who would then like they were artists, and
Mm.
then the relationship would dissolve and the excuse would be, I'm having an existential crisis.
Oh, this
So
is
we have,
also like during the height of Sex and the City, and there was lots of male characters who had that exact situation.
I wonder if they watched it and they were like, that sounds like a good way to break up. This sounds like a great excuse that where there's no blame attributed. Just
Mhm.
like, existential crisis, bye.
Yeah, it's me, not you. Okay, bye.
And not that it isn't hard for men as well, but I just rolled with a group of women. Those were
Yeah.
my friends, and to watch them date in New York, as I'm sure, like in LA,
Mhm.
talk about wild. I mean, that is like, it's hard.
It's a concrete jungle of wild creatures here. Indeed.
Which could be fun, could be totally fun, but also I can understand would be like really intimidating. I managed to avoid all that. I just got really lucky, and
Yeah.
I think to go back to this idea of like artists dating artists or dating artists, I think I was lucky because my husband is a creative person,
Mhm.
a designer, a visual artist, and we have been collaborators and done stuff together. So it always felt like I had a partner and somebody who's really supportive of that artist's life.
Mhm.
I never I haven't known what it's like to date somebody who's like, "Why are you doing all this shit that doesn't make money? Like, why are you performing in this thing, or why are you making
Right.
this story, or why are you reading, why are you do," I never had to deal with that because I
Yeah.
had somebody who really totally
Understood.
understood.
Mhm. Mhm. That's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I hope it encourages others out there that perhaps if they are in a class or even work or wherever in some kind of um, studio institute group, group environment of learning, that perhaps a friendship can bloom. We never know if you just got to put yourself out there.
Right on.
Indeed. All right. Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you. Thanks,
And
Glow.
thank you for joining us on this edition of Dating in the Wild. We'll see you next time.